All right, what's up? What's up, guys? Ben Naumann here. Welcome to the Flip Texas podcast. We are here today with our special guests, Derek Kelley and Joe. They have come all the way from the Baytown area, and he's probably the mayor of Baytown and definitely one of the top investors on that side of town. And looking forward to chatting with them about what they're doing lately, what they're doing in 2023. And maybe a little bit of foreclosures and stuff as well.
Foreclosures.
I know I got
plenty of them.
I got really inspired, Derek, when we were speaking at that event, and you told me that story about the home you live at.
Yeah.
You could say I left there, and that was like one of my most motivating stories that I took away from that night.
Yeah, that was the second time I had bought a house sight unseen. So sight unseen, no title policy, no nothing. When you go to auctions, you do your own due diligence to this stuff. You don't get to have a title policy, so you got to research it, make sure that you're buying something that doesn't have, a lien that's going to stick and survive foreclosure. Make sure that what you're purchasing is a true first lien, deed of trust, not purchasing a second lien. And, you got to do your own due diligence in this stuff. So it's being prepared for situations like that. I was not prepared years before to make decisions like that.
Just like really quick, such a big
So you don't have time to be able to, they're auctioning it off. So you have a trustee that's standing up there saying this lot description to this address, and they're reading it off, and okay, the starting bid's starting off at $202,000. And what's different with these compared to other properties where we traditionally buy it using private money, hard money, or whatever, you're literally paying for these in cashier's checks, cash, like actual cash. You're exchanging tender right then. Your closing is happening right then whenever you get done with these things. To be able to make a decision like that at a split second, who's buying a house sight unseen, you didn't look at it, and paying cash for
hundreds of thousands of dollars,
a couple $100,000 right off, from top. So, the way I prepared myself to be able to make decisions like that is obviously being able to know your market and where you're buying at. So being so comfortable with where I'm at, the prices of homes and everything, I knew I wasn't going to lose whenever I bought that deal. I might have broke even, but I knew I wasn't going to lose. I looked it up extremely quick, saw it on there. I saw it was 5 acres in Mont Belvieu area. I was like, there's no way I can lose with this. I'm going to buy it. I'm just going to buy it. 202,000 acres are going between 80 to 100 grand. The worst thing that could happen to me, I think, is that it was a firehouse and I broke even on the land. That was really my worst case, is what I was looking at.
On those types of properties, well, you know what? Before I have a lot more questions about that. Before that, let's rewind the clocks a little bit. How you got into real estate?
As far as real estate goes, the very first thing I did was actually my very first purchase, which is the home that I lived into. That was done in around 2009. I bought a foreclosed home. I paid $84,500 for that house and lived in it. Wound up paying it off in 2.5 years. Interest rate was like 6.125, and wound up paying it off in 2.5 years. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Had another kid. Needed a bigger home. The house across the street came up for sale. And this was a foreclosure as well. I guess I was in a foreclosed neighborhood at that time.
Was it in Baytown? Or
it was in Baytown. And so I wound up buying the house right directly across the street from where I was at. It needed some rehab done to it, real cosmetic, lipstick type job. And I'll never forget, one of the rooms was completely shot up with about 1,000 BBs in this one room. And it was black light paint that was painted all over the walls. So, it looked like they were running a mechanic shop on the flooring. It was disgusting in there. Doing my own construction stuff, hired individual people out, and spent about $20,000 fixing the place up. And finished it. I went and got a cart from Home Depot, talked to them, see if they'd let me take a cart, and literally wheeled my house from one side to the other. So I started renting that house out across the street, essentially had 2 houses right across, and then my wife at the time was like, I want our kids to go to Mont Belvieu, I don't want to go to Baytown schools. So it was like, okay, well now we need to go find a house in Mont Bellevue. So just started going off in that, and I got off into a medical company for a little while. I did that. Didn't really turn out the way we wanted to into it. Lost some years out of it. In about 2017, I kept seeing, James posting about real estate stuff all the time. I was like, man, I need to get back into that.
Did you knew him from high school?
I knew James from high school, yeah. We played baseball together. So,
So you've been doing deals at that point, but it just wasn't like your full-time.
it wasn't flipping. I wasn't flipping and stuff like that continuously until about 2017, 2018 year. I started, I had cash. I wound up selling in 2017. I sold that property, that very first one that I bought. I thought it was going to be the absolute highest the market would go. It's like there's no way this thing can go higher than this. And I wound up selling it for $145,000. So, I thought it was the highest it would go. It would never go higher than that. I was wrong.
The one that you bought for 80 years.
The one I bought for $84,500. Sold it for $145,000, full asking price one day. I even thought the appraisal wasn't going to meet. The appraisal met, and then that same house now is selling in the 200s. From 2017 to now. So luckily I sold when I did because Hurricane Harvey happened and it destroyed it. It destroyed the flooring and everything like that I put into the home. So got out of it, and then I just started going straight into buying foreclosures.
When you got your path here into real estate, and you're slowly, it sounds like, buying a couple of houses here while you're working a corporate job, how much are you making approximately when you're in corporate America, when you're slowly becoming this, slowly building your real estate wealth, really?
About 150 plus.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a very good income, and it's hard to leave something like that. You get off into something like that, it's tough to be able to disconnect yourself, benefits and everything like that, to be able to leave it. But what helps you to be able to do something like that is once you get to where, just in the month of January that's coming up, I'm going to be pulling in somewhere around $250K just in net in the month of January. So those are closings that are set in place that are already we're already past inspection periods and stuff like that are going to come back. And a couple of those are from auctions. So those are significant payouts that happen. It's going to be a good start to 2023 for sure. But yeah, the auctions was something different that people really weren't able to tackle, that I was networking with and being around a lot of people that didn't have cash like that. So not having capital, or having the capital to be able to do things like that, you're not having to search, for properties. Properties are coming to you. And learning how to do your own due diligence and the stuff is a very, very valuable thing that I learned to make sure I don't get bit. To make sure that I'm buying at the right times. And I have multiple different exit plans on anything that I do. I try to mitigate my risk at a very, very, very low amount that I do. Even though I do buy, which I've done it twice, have bought a house I didn't see, never even looked at it. And no title policy, nothing.
What are 3 things you're doing right now to mitigate your risk?
So 3 things that I'm doing right now to mitigate my risk is, right now my purchase points are staying less than 200,000. I'm currently buying at about 65% or less right now. I will buy up to 70 if I know that the market area for cash out refinance is going to rent. So I know areas where I'm at, the school districts and things like that people are buying into. Right now, because people aren't wanting to purchase, or not everybody's wanting to purchase the $300,000 homes at a 7% rate, they're going to rentals. So I currently have 2 rentals right now that I got paid in full for a whole year up front. The whole amount paid in full. I have 0 risk in that. Now, 0 risk as far as non-payments go. I still have risk that you take on. And most of the homes that I'm buying and doing is buying and holding are going to be doing everything's new on them.
You've already done that CapEx, you've already done that AC, that roof.
AC's done, roofs are being done on them, foundations being done, new appliances, everything's
Water
new that's
heater
in the house.
probably.
Yeah, new hot water heaters. I'm not doing anything that is going to create myself a burden or a problem over a period of time. That's really what I'm trying to do, at least get them to where, hey, for the next 5 years, I don't have to worry about this, besides the tenant. That's the only thing I should be having to be concerned with, but you have insurance to protect you in that stuff as well.
Yeah.
And that is, in the foreclosure process, I have brought many people up there with me. I brought Ryan Garnett with me one time. He got to see the whole process from start to finish. He got to go see me go to the house, see it before, saw what I did, getting inside, access to the property, and then see me go purchase the property. As soon as I leave from the property, the first phone calls to my insurance woman, and I'm protected. I'm protected because you're essentially paid off. So if the house burned down, which is always my worst case, at least I'll be able to get my money back, my initial investment.
Tell me a little bit about your best deal, your worst deal that's ever happened.
I will say my worst and best deal. So the best deal I'll tell you is the one I live into now. It was so good for me. I couldn't let go of it. I just couldn't pass it up. So that house I actually purchased for $202,000 cash. I actually drove by the house and there was actually somebody living there, and I had to convince her that she was going to leave. So when they let me get access into the home before I have those discussions, I take pictures. I do have insurance on the properties, and by allowing me to take those pictures, they don't know it at the time, but me taking pictures, now I'm protected on insurance against vandalism. So your insurance protects you against vandalism, non-payments of rent, even though I don't have a rental agreement in place. And I usually try to work with a tenant the best I can. That one in particular, I paid for renters. I paid for movers for her to get out of the house. That cost me $1,500. They came in there and packed all her stuff up. I paid for 3 storage units for her to move her stuff to, and I paid for her first month rent. So it cost me money to get her out, but I got her to leave within about a month and a half from start to finish. So, and then, I wound up rehabbing the house, getting a HELOC against it because it's my personal homestead now, and getting access to more capital from that. And so that was definitely probably the best. That was the best one I picked up, the one I live into now. So
people want to hear these numbers. So you bought it for $202.
$202.
You probably did a really nice rehab on this one.
I did the construction myself on this thing. So I was a GC on this one. So I did everything at cost with my guys, individual subs. So I cut it down extremely low and still spent $110. And at the time,
is that with the pool or without the pool?
That was without the pool.
Okay. So we're at 3. Okay, so we're at 313 or.
Yeah, we're at 3. Around 3. Yeah, say 315,000, and then I put about $100,000 between the pool and then the closure on the backside.
Okay.
Of it now. So that wasn't counted in the appraisal that came back. The appraisal came back at $931,000. So. I was able to get a line of credit against that on my HELOC at $620. So now you get access to more capital. It's paid off, but you still get, the line of credit against it if you want to use it. So, but yeah, it's definitely now. Even now, it's $1 million property that I literally picked up. I've got about 400 something into it. So.
$500K net worth jump that
that
does a lot for the average bear.
Yeah, that definitely does. Hey, it's a beautiful home, man. I really did it extremely nice. All my contractors that I use on flips were the same ones that I used in my personal home. So just like whenever I put products out, I don't do crap jobs in anything. I don't want to get sued. I don't want to do anything that's going to get me sued. So. That's definitely a priority of mine.
But you said you've never gone over budget.
I have never had to bust a budget on anything that I have done. And a lot of it is because of the price point that I'm purchasing at is so low on some of these that I have so much room into them that I have room to spend if I need to. But, your 5 major components that you're having onto a home are one of the 5 things that I'm looking at whenever I'm going to purchase these.
So roof,
Foundation,
AC, foundation.
Yep, your plumbing and your electrical,
Okay.
right? So if these newer homes that you're purchasing into, like one neighborhood in particular, I've bought 14 homes into one neighborhood. All those homes are built within 2017 or newer. So those 5 are gone. It's the chance of you having something like that is not really going to be there.
It's like you're cleaning the house.
You're literally going there. You're doing
maybe.
Yeah, you're doing very, very small. You're doing lipstick jobs to them. It's a lipstick job, in and out. So I'm really and being able to GC them myself is a lot of saving costs that I do there too. So if I have something that does go wrong, I can always step in and fix it. So if I started working with a GC, 2 of them actually, 2 GCs in particular that have started doing a lot more of my rehabs. Just because I've been so busy, I can't take them. I can't continue to do all the stuff that I'm doing with the GC the way I was. So the lipstick stuff, I'll continue to do. I can do that. That's nothing but phone calls and putting a lockbox on the front door. That's very, very simple for me. I already have subs that can handle that stuff, and a lot of my subs are able to handle a lot of the smaller stuff that'll happen within doing these lipstick jobs. They're able to handle, changing out doors or whatever it is there is like that, doing trim work, doing sheetrock work, stuff like that. But, as far as it's being able to take those big ticket items out has saved me from busting a budget like that. That's always been something. If it's a complete major rehab, I'm wholesaling it. Or if it's something that's too big, I'm wholesaling it. I'm not keeping it. Why am I? That's mitigating my risk and keeping it low. I don't need to do those types of deals.
We'll talk about Joe here in a second.
Yeah.
But if Joe comes to you and Joe says, "Hey, this is my first flip, and it's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath in Humble, Texas, and my rehab budget is $50,000 to $60,000." Do you think that's too large? Is that too large of a rehab for? First-time investor getting started, or is that too large of a rehab for you that you usually like to do?
No, I'm doing one right now that's 50s, 60s. I mean, I'll still do rehabs like that. It just depends on your purchase price and where you're purchasing at. Even if I purchased, so in particular on this one that we did, we picked up 3 homes on one street. So these 3 homes on one street, 2 of them that were picked up were literally picked up at like 20 cents on the dollar. Like, you're not going to lose on that. Even if rehab cost me $100,000 for each one, the ARVs on these things are at $300,000. I'm picking them up for $60,000 to $65,000 in Houston. Not all on the same street. Going to hold these as rentals.
It's really good.
It's extremely good. It's even all in is going to be less than 60%.
What lead source did you get these 3 houses from?
So the lead source on that, actually originally, we were looking at a property, stopped by there to look at it, saw the property that was there, and it looked like a distressed property. This is a vacant. I thought it looked like
you're out on a different appointment, or you're out in the neighborhood?
Driving for dollars.
Okay.
So literally driving around, saw it, and the woman that owned the property actually walked up on me. It was like, "What are you doing in this property? You need to get out of here." Right? And I was there with a contractor looking at this thing, seeing what needed to be done, to the property itself. And because sometimes I'll do that. I'll take my contractors with me we'll go look at properties.
Just look at a random property, even though you're not under contract.
Not under contract yet. Just look at it, see what we have, and before I start really initiating chasing it, because this one needed everything. I mean, it needed the whole, top end of the roof being taken off. I mean, and it's been sitting for a long time. Boarded up, you can tell. I've been there for a while. Talked to that woman. She said she was already in a contract to sell it. I was like, damn, I didn't see that on I pulled the deed. I didn't see a memorandum on it. I was like, okay. I said, well, if they don't execute, if they're not able to perform, give me a shout.
Yeah.
Well, she's like, we're supposed to close next week. Okay. Well, the closing never happened.
And
this
you
has
followed
been
up what you followed
I
up
did
with
get her phone number. I followed up with her about a month later. And she said that I guess the people that she was dealing with from a different state or something like that, I don't know, they were trying to perform and they weren't able to. And the reason they weren't able to, I found that out later on once we got the title. But she told me, hey, I don't even have this property. I've got this one, and one in Buffalo. So I'm like, oh.
Buffalo between here and Dallas?
Yes,
Okay.
it's Buffalo, Texas. It's about 3 hours away from here. So she told me that, and I said, well, let me come talk to you. Set an appointment with her, come talk, and go out there and speak with her. And next thing I know, she's signing contracts for everything. Negotiating, she's signing contracts on the line. I always bring contracts with me just in case.
Just in case.
Wet contracts right there. I was filling them out as I was going for each property. She's like, what do you give me for this one? I'll give you this amount. What do you give me for this one?
Mentally just ready that day.
She was ready, and not only was she ready, she had the other contracts from somebody else that she had there. And I was literally getting them for $30,000 to $40,000 less than what they had. So I had convinced her so much that I was going to perform on these, and I did. I mean, I literally did. It took some work. It wasn't easy to be able to do that.
But there was title issues you said on this deal?
Yeah, there was title issues in all of them. 2 of them are still going through probates. That we're starting that process right now. They didn't have cash. That was another thing. They needed money bad. So I said, look, I tell you what we'll do. I'm going to close on this and purchase it now, but I'm going to do a lease back to you, and I'm going to hold back 50% of the money. Okay, I said, how much time do you need? She said, I need 1 week. I said, I'm going to give you 2 weeks. Every day you don't leave after that is going to cost you $500 per day. So now I made it extremely stiff for her to stay in that house. So she called me, and it wound up taking past the 2 weeks, and she said, hey, can I have 4 more days? This was around Thanksgiving time. Can I have a couple more days? I was like, that's fine. I didn't charge her or whatever. Let her have a couple more days that she needed, which was the 4 days. And she got out. She left, and no problems. Left the house vacant, empty the way I needed it, and we're still working on the other 2 to get them closed out right now. They're definitely going to be, it's going to be a process for those for sure. But she's got money now to be able to get those closed out. She didn't have money before to be able to get that done. So we're doing rehab on that now. The rehab on that one's going to come in about $55,000 roughly on that, converting it from a 2-bedroom, 2-bath to a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in there. And then so that'll help with rents and help with also the comp that'll do for cash out refinance.
Nice.
Purchase price on that one was at $109. Put roughly about $50,000 into it, and ARV on it is around $240. So it'll be a good rental to hold on to. Rent comps are around $2,200 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So it'll be good to hold.
What zip code is that?
Let's see. 77074.
Okay. Oh, oh shoot. I wonder if this is if I had this one under contract. I had 2 houses right next to each other in 77074 under contract in Sharpstown area.
Yeah, this was it might be. It could be the same property.
It was from a wholesaler, and then I was under contract to buy from the wholesaler.
They have title
and
issues.
The lady was like, my title company told me that it was fraud. They said, back off. This lady's not who. Their story's not adding up or something. And one son was living in. So the 2 properties right next to each other. One was on the corner, and it was a.
This is the same property.
It has graffiti inside on the wall.
Yeah, it's like a crack house.
Great area, great property. And then was gonna probably spend like 80,000 on it on repairs.
Yeah.
85. And the one next to it, son is living in. And then I think there was another one too, but I was under contract on both of those, spent money on the appraisals, etc. And then the wholesaler was like, hey, this is what came back from the title's not clear. And then I was like, hey, let's not give up, let's send it to another title company, send it to another title. And keep in mind, I'm not talking to the seller, right? And I've had situations where title claims have been, I had a fraud deal that I did before, and anyways, complete nutcase. And then when the second title company told me, hey, second or third, I got Fidelity. I got my other person to look at it too, and they were like, oh, this lady's not who she. Their story isn't adding up, and and basically I said, okay, well, just give me my earnest money. I had it was like 10,000 earnest money on between both 5,000 on each. I said that's fine. It was like 2-3 months or something. I'm like, you know what? They say that this is like her story's not adding up, and they started to fill out these affidavits, and apparently they said, yeah, the affidavits don't look right, and so
so that I guarantee you, it's probably the same properties. It's probably the same properties. So they had two more properties with that. The other property was the one that she was living into. So that property was easier to get free and clear. The other two have not. The other two have to go through probate on that. They've got to go through probate. So they're going to have to spend their money to make that happen. So I was actually speaking with them this morning on the phone. She called me from a different phone number, and that's who I was speaking with. I mean, it's going to be work. It's not going to be easy to get those done. Foundation work.
Yeah, they both need a foundation.
Yeah.
I think I had one of them under contract. I had them under contract for a little over 100 each one.
Yeah.
And the ARV was high twos, like 270s.
I'm in 60s.
280s. Wow.
Yeah, and then 280s. That's I guarantee that's the same.
I hope you get them out of the.
Well, it's. Luckily, she already knows I've been able to perform. I guess on the other ones, I don't know who you dealt with before, and that's it's funny. That's happened so many times, man. That I think not too long ago you closed on a deal that Hadley had, or something like, or Hadley closed, and something like that. Yeah. It's funny how small it seems like the investment world sometimes. You end up tackling and seeing one property or seeing another one that'll pop up or whatever it is. It's just meeting people at the right time, sellers where they're at.
Timing is very important.
I'm closing on 2 of them next week. One of them I picked up from, I had made an offer on it. I had a realtor bring it to me. Made an offer on this house, and I gave him a number of where I thought it should be at. Didn't even look at it yet, just from, I was thinking, hey, 20,000 in rehab on a lipstick, I need to be at this price, about 170. I made an offer on it. They said, we're taking it to the market. Well, they went to the market with it, and the market shifted a little bit. They've been going on this for a couple of months. They had 2 different buyers, traditional buyers, 2 different buyers go through and backed out. One of them backed out for whatever reason, and the seller had issues. He was staying there at the house when they were coming to do showings and everything. It's on the golf course in Baytown. Real nice property. And they're actually revamping that golf course right there.
I want you to tell me after this a little bit about what's going on in Baytown. Do you think that's a good area that the values are going to go up in Baytown over time? And why do not that many people live over there right now? And why are the values low there?
There's not really anything there that the city has done to. They're trying to, but there's not really anything as far as entertainment-wise. There's no mall there. Well over 100,000 people that live in Baytown.
So you think because they have a Texas Roadhouse. They've got the area. Nice Mexican restaurant with the bowl outside I've been to.
So Fidelity is actually the same company that did the ones in Baybrook, are the ones that own that property in the mall area.
Okay.
So they're going to be, they've already demoed it, and they're supposed to do the construction and that and redoing it. They're building a convention center that's over there by O'Neill's. They've already redone where they're revamping their Evergreen golf course over there. That's already happening. So they're doing things to try to increase, the city values and give back and things like that they're doing. It's a great area for rentals. It's a great area for investing in general, real estate investing.
So you think in the long term that Baytown's not going to shrink? It's going to
continue to expand. It's going to continue to grow.
To get approved for a loan, the people that are living there are more financially or better off financially than say an old retired, an old retired couple that doesn't have as much money. So then they're able to go spend money at the commercial strip centers, and I've heard about this on a lot of these, even like this property we're in right now. The guys next door, they say there used to be a Slick Willie's in this center, in this.
Wow.
They say that a lot of times it really takes like one nice tenant in a space, and then all of a sudden all the other tenants are like, wow, this is nice, and it
Takes off.
Yeah, it takes off or something. But that's real interesting.
Realtors right now are really I get a lot of deals from realtors that do bring me deals. So having a connection with realtors from that are significant to be able to, with the real estate investing and compensating them as well. When you do this stuff, if they're bringing me a lead, I don't just let them just bring me a lead. I will give them something in some way, shape, or form. I mean, I got one next week. I'm buying them red bottoms. So literally some Louboutin red bottoms. That's what she wanted. I'm going to give it to her. By doing things like that, then they get another deal. Who do you think they're going to call?
Definitely going to call you first.
I want them to call me first. I don't want them to call you. I want them to call me. So anyway, so this deal, they weren't able to sell it. The seller was frustrated with it. The one that was on the golf course. So they contacted me back and said, hey, would you be able to come to 180? I said, let me come look at it. Hadn't even looked at it. So I go in there and look at it, and this is a phenomenal home. I mean, it's just, they just got crap everywhere. It's crap needs to get cleared out of it. I literally, it was about $15,000. It's already got granite on the inside of it. It just needs flooring and paint, and we're pretty much done in there. Great rental, 4-bedroom, 2-bath. And I'm sitting there talking to the guy, listening to him over and over and over, and hear about his, problems that he's having or whatever. And I told him, he said, so you can't do 180? I said, man, I'm at 170. I've been there at that number for months ago. I said, I'm still there, even now with the market change. I said, I need to be able to cash out refinance. And because he didn't take my original offer that I had, from months ago, when we go back to this, I said, and I need 3% seller concession and you're paying for title policy.
Okay.
But we'll close in 2 weeks. How much time do you need to get your stuff out? And I'll be able to perform, I'll close. So he says, deal. The house is, I did a CMA on it. The house appraisal, or the house CMA on that is at $275,000. $275,000. I basically picked it up for $162,000. I'm going to put a lipstick job on the inside, increase it, and I'm going to hold it as a rental.
What's he going to rent for?
But the rent comps were coming in between $2,100 to $2,300 a month. So $2,300 a month.
That's not bad.
That's not going to be bad. It'll still cash flow per month. I'll probably hold a loan at like $190, maybe pull out $10,000.
How are you usually going to be financing these rentals in 2023 or something like that?
So right now I'm going through where I'm going to transition and let James start doing all my refis out. He started having a product where he can do refinances, and I've got a deal worked with him now to where it's going to work out with purchasing and selling on both sides. He'll purchase them, and then we're going to turn around and refi them out. He'll be doing the lending on most of those that I do. I have a private lender that I use as well, and then my own cash. But my own cash, I like to use those for auctions.
Yeah, because you're getting...
you can... I mean, I'm still picking up extremely deep deals from that. Extremely deep. I just did one at the month of January that's going to be... It's going to be a hefty payout on that one.
I have a question for you. So, you ever see land, just vacant land, selling at massive discounts at these auctions? I have a friend that he wants to get a ranch. He's been making a ton of money right now, and he wants to buy a big ranch.
So I did have one that came up, and man, I actually contacted Brent Franklin about this one, but it was so quick in time. And the reason is because I had a lot of mineral rights on there, and they were using, I think they had oil stuff. It was just like the auction was running on a Tuesday, and I come across this thing at like a Thursday.
Okay.
So there wasn't enough time for me to do any of the due diligence that I needed to, and this was like way above where I could.
What was the price point of this
So,
selling for in the acreage?
It wound up auctioning off. I was there. I contacted James about it. Was like, dude, would you be interested in doing this? We can split it. You know, we'll both bring
split the risk.
but we can both bring cash and split it. Well, come to find out, it was like a $6 million, but it was like thousands of acres, like 3,000 to 4,000 acres in the area.
Where?
This was in Chambers County.
County. That's good.
Yeah, this was huge. So I'm like, and this thing's, they had a $6 million loan. It wound up auctioning off for $800,000, and it had mineral rights in it. So I saw this. I saw it. I tried to do it real quick. I even sent it to a couple people, and it just didn't have the timing that I needed to be able to protect myself. I mean.
So this is the power of auctions right here. So you're telling me thousands of acres in Chambers County.
They had a
sold
loan
off for $800,000.
They had a loan for $6 million on this thing, and it auctioned off for $800,000. No one bought it. It was a lot of paperwork and a lot of stuff that was tied to the deed.
Okay.
It was so much stuff, and that's one thing when I talk about, you know, risk. There are things that do survive foreclosure that you have to be careful with. I would not advise anybody, if you don't know what you're doing for the first time, or you don't have somebody that's actually done this before, don't just go into it blindly. You're going to get hit.
To come with you our first time.
And I've done that. I have done that. I got a deal that we're doing right now. Somebody contacted me on Facebook and it was like, hey, you know, literally, hey, I heard that you're the person to talk to about auctions. You know, I'm interested in talking to you about it. And I said, sure, here's my phone number. Gave him my phone number, he called me, and my very first question to him was, how liquid are you? And he said, I got about 200,000. I said, be in my house next Tuesday, and we'll go. Literally, the conversation went like that. And he showed up at the house. He had 200,000.
He's not bringing this cash.
Cashier checks.
A cashier's check.
Cashier's check.
Not bringing a suitcase.
No, it wasn't a suitcase. It was cashier's check made out in his name. Showed up at the house. We went to the auction, and I researched, found one or whatever, and purchased it. We purchased it at $203,000. The rehab is about 10. It was a lipstick job, very minimal paint, changing out a couple of doors, some light fixtures, something like that in there. And right now we're under contract to sell. Currently, right now, it's going to have closing in January for $340,000. So you're talking about a $130,000 payout on something that was less than 2 months.
Which is still probably $100 after realtor's fees, and you didn't have lender's fees. You didn't have lender's fees.
No, and I made her pay for title policy. So that's another thing. People, you know, this is a buyer's market. This is my market, not theirs. I can control which way I want this to go. So I don't have to sell to anybody if I don't want to, and I don't have to buy a house if I don't want to either. So I'd be fair with what my offers are. If you want me you want to get a property, I'll look at the activity that I have going on with it, and I'll act accordingly to it. So I always try to keep the cards in my hands, not theirs. And the reason that I'm able to do that is because I'm not paying the loans. So when you're not paying a debt service, that makes a big difference. It's a lot of leverage that you could hold when you do that, compared to paying a loan that you're paying costing you
$7,000 a month.
Yeah, $7,000 a month's a lot different.
Yeah.
So
taxes
and everything else. So you know, I've got that one. I've got another one that I'm doing right now. I picked up an auction for $96,200. Put about $30,000 in rehab. ARV on that one's around $280,000, $300,000. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people want to do it. They just don't know. I mean, I have been bit by some liens. Nothing significant, luckily.
What happened in that when you?
So it was a water filtration system. I didn't know, but I learned about these, which are called UCC1 filed liens, they're Senate filed liens. When they do that, it's securing property at an address, so it's stuck to the address, so it's filed under that address, but it's securing property at that address. Those water filtration people, they don't care if the property's there or not. Even if it's not there, I can take pictures, send it to them or whatever. They secured their financing through that, and they filed a UCC1. They were able to do that because the people that originally signed it agreed to all that stuff. So whenever I went to go sell the property, it wound up costing me $5,300 on a property that I had to sell to get clear title. So I was responsible for their water filtration system. I had to pay for it, and it was a UCC one file lien. Those stick. I did find a title company that closed around it one time. They're going to learn that they shouldn't do that the hard way, but eventually they'll have to. They're going to. I mean, they covered it, so they're going to learn. So that survived foreclosure. IRS tax liens survived foreclosures. Child support liens, if the expiration date's not clear, survive. So there's certain things that's on there, and even when researching this stuff, as far as the research goes, you can't just research just the property. You need to research the names that are on the deed.
You're checking these people like.
I'm trying to check them out thoroughly. I'm even go as far as if I know they're in foreclosure.
See if they have any other like debts that attach to.
Yes.
Does it matter if they're in bankruptcy or not?
No, it doesn't matter.
Can you explain to me in short, like, hey, these are the 3 to 5 things. I see this property on the foreclosure list. I go to county records. I check this to cover my butt.
By law, and they have laws they have to follow for the foreclosure, right? You got like a 45-day period. You got a 20-day cure period. A notice of defaults. You have things like that go through in the process. When it gets to the 20 days to where they're pretty much calling the note like, hey, if you don't pay at this time, they have really only one option. They can either come up with the money to get their note caught up to where they're at, or they can file for bankruptcy, or they let it go to foreclosure. That's really the only 3 options that they're end up going to have happening. If I know that I'll look at a deed. So if I can see the deed, like the foreclosure that they're trying to auction off, the deed of trust, if I see it's from 2016 or older, then I'll look at it and try to work it. I'll go drive by, go see the property, see if someone's living there, looking for the gold door handles that's on it. That means that the bank has taken possession that's on there. I'll try to look at it, get access, and a lot of the times, probably 90% of the time, I go knock on the doors. I've had people give me surveys, the keys to their house, everything before I even purchased it. Literally before I purchased the house.
Why 2016 or older deeds so they have more equity?
Because of the equity from what they purchased at from there at the price point to where the equity increase is to now, even with the loan being attached for defaults, will still have enough money for me to be able to make a profit into it.
Okay.
And it's not just always about the profit part of it. It's I'm still making sure that I'm purchasing the things at less than 70%. Just in case I got to do a cash out refinance. And I also look at it and see what kind of work it's going to take. Is it going to be something I'm going to be in and out of in less than 2 months? Or is it going to be something I'm going to need to hold for 4 to 5 months? It just depends. So during COVID, they weren't foreclosing is what everyone thought, but they still were. So every month, the only thing that wasn't foreclosing was government entities. Everything else was still foreclosing. So the trustees were still going up there. I was the only one showing up to auction. So I was literally picking these up for $1 over the minimum bids. I was picking them up during coronavirus. I wasn't telling a single soul.
When you go to these auctions, I pictured not the best deals there because it's usually like big hedge funds and you don't see that as much now, or it depends on which counties too, huh?
It's all about what counties you go to. You go to Harris County, it's a shit show. I mean, they're organized about what they got going on there, but it's a shit show. People are up there, I mean, they are literally paying full value, overvalue. And some of these homes, I used to go there to them. I literally have been inside of it. I know how much rehab this thing needs. I see it, and they're literally paying over what the MLS price would have been. I'm like, what are you doing? It got to a point where I literally wanted to bring my deals up there and just be like, hey, this deal's for sale.
Yeah.
Like, if you're paying,
get those people's phone numbers.
Yeah, you really want to buy that high?
You can wholesale to those people.
I know. So, but anything outskirts of Harris County, that's where I stay at. I don't stay in Harris County. If I'm buying in Harris County, it's from off market. It's not from usually the auctions. So.
What's going on with Joe here? Are we doing some real estate coaching?
So
Joe, thinking about getting into real estate?
Yeah, I'm friends with Joe's dad, and Joe started to He's a little hustler, man. He mows yards, does pressure washing, anything that makes money, does golf cart stuff, whatever it is, he wants to make some money. He stumbled across wholesaling.
Okay.
And his dad was like, man, he's talking to these people, wanting to get on Zooms with these people or whatever. He's like, I don't know who he's talking to. You know, I want my son just talking to random people. So he's like, why don't you talk to him? I was like, I'll talk to him. So talked to him, and you know, I said he was going to come along with me one day, and today's the day I picked for him to come along and come right along, come see some houses and see some rehabs I got going on, and talk to some sellers, and you know, see if he can learn some stuff along the way. And so definitely told him the time to make the mistakes is when you're young. That's the time to do it. So
that's for sure.
He's getting into the right business and be like Ben before long.
Are you telling him like kind of like the driving for dollars approach?
Yeah, just the basic, you know, driving for dollars. Told him about Google numbers, signs, and
it's free.
It is. Said you can take Ben's signs that he's got, man. Just change the number, go put stickers on them, and they'll call your number, not his. And you just they're, you know, trying to tell him about. I told him a story about Blake Hawkins that he got fined for.
Oh really? I didn't hear about this.
Yeah, putting his regular phone number on there.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I know Blake, but I hear this a long time ago.
A long time ago, I think when he first started. Yeah, that's what's always pushed me. Like, make sure that you do
never
not.
Your cell number.
Yeah, never your actual cell number. So, but you know, all of them work. Every bit of them work. I've noticed just, you know, disclosing and telling everybody that you're purchasing homes. You know, everyone that you meet, everyone knows somebody that's going on, whether it's an estate, you know, somebody passed, divorce, you know, for whatever it is, there's all of them that people know that people are going through issues. And, you know, and you're problem solving for these people. You're solving a solution. Now you're getting a financial gain from this stuff. Sometimes you help people and you don't. You know, you might not get the financial gain, but you know, maybe something will come along later on down the road just because you did the right thing. Like I said before, most of the deals that I'm picking up now are like 65% or lower. I mean, it's and
you want the equity there.
I have to have the equity into it, because if I'm going to protect myself into a market like this, I'm still buying. I mean, I'm actively still buying and closing deals right now as we speak. I've got a lot of flips that's going on. I mean, I'm still doing a lot in this market right now. In what people are considering a down market, a lot of people are getting away from single family. I'm still buying them. So I even have one I was telling him about on the way up here. I had purchased 3 homes. I mean, it was 3 lots, had a house on it. This was in Houston. The house was on 2 lots, had a new construction going on right across the street, non-HOA, and it has a house that's sitting on it that on the 2 lots. So I picked all of that up for $100,000. 3 lots in the house for $100,000. I wound up selling the house and the lot. I mean, I wound up selling the house with the 2 lots for $127,500 and a Louis Vuitton belt to Nathan Haley. So Nathan bought it. They're going to flip it, and then I had the lot that I kept. So I was just going to sell the lot later on.
You were able to keep one of the lots?
I kept the lot. It was a 10,000 square foot lot. Already had utilities on it prior to. So
what zip code is this? I'm really big on the zip codes. Okay.
Man, let's see. Let's see.
I like that strategy where you sold off some of them, you kept that one little lot.
Well, now we're doing where I was going with this. Let me see if I can find the lot.
Louis Vuitton belt.
And I will say he did deliver. I double closed that, and the reason was I had all of it on one contract. It was elderberry. That's what it was. Let me see. 77049.
Okay.
Yep. So, well, what I wound up doing with that, I told James, me and James were talking about it. He's like, man, let's do a new construction. I said, okay, I've never done a new construction. Let's do it. So right now, what I did, I wound up deeding the property,
What?
the lot over to mine and his name, and we're gonna build a duplex on it.
You think you're gonna sell it or rent it?
I don't know. I might rent it, maybe rent it and then turn around and resell it with renters in it, or just turn around and sell it as a new construction. The new construction, we were thinking somewhere is going to be around 285 with the lot is what the value was to build. He already had some plans that were in place, and probably sell it for around 485, somewhere around there. We'll see. We'll see what happens with it. Never done a new construction with that, but you know the lot's free and clear, owned, and I got paid on the front end. I'll get paid on the back end later on. So to me, it's a win-win.
Very safe. Very safe.
You got new construction going on across the street, and you'll have a brand new rehabbed home right next to it. That's there. So.
All right. Well, I really appreciate it. I'm sure y'all need to get to some properties, knocking on some doors, meeting some people.
Yep.
Where can the people find you at, Derek?
I do a lot on Facebook, so you can find me on Facebook under my name, Derek Kelley. I do a lot there. If you want, you get my cell. You can reach out to me. I have it on there as well. So I'm in the area.
Cool.
So me a little joke. Gonna be running around today.
Perfect.
Taking around this properties, go see some stuff.
You on Facebook, Joe, or where do people reach you at? Instagram, probably. Or?
Instagram.
Okay. Comment what you want to see, Joe. Okay. Comment what you want to see.
Follow us.
I will. Gmoney _ the goat _ 23.
There you go.
I love it. I
like
love it. Cool. Well, definitely like, subscribe, comment what y'all want to see, and talk with y'all soon.